Today we have Maxime Tchoutakian, who is coming onto the show. He is the current coach of Vicky Mboko, who has taken the absolute tennis world by storm over the last 9 months or so. The 19-year-old's moved into the top 10 in the world. And Maxime's got a great story. He's 32 years old, working with one of the absolutely hottest prospects in the world. And you think, well, how does a 32-year-old have a gig like that? Well, when you listen to him, you'll see why, and Max is, he's got his own playing career, his own story. He was ranked 530 in the world as a singles player, top 400 in doubles. The US college route, which we see a lot with so many of these players and coaches now at Baylor University. And then he worked with Victoria Azarenka for 3 or 4 years. He'll get into the depths of that. He's had a little period also with Haddad Maya as well. Even though he's 32, he has a lot of experience. He's someone I feel really lucky I've got to know pretty well over the last few months through our time, I guess, working with Canadian players, meeting at the United Cup in Sydney and then seeing him at all of the different events. And he's a low-key, good guy who's doing a great job. And I'm delighted to have him on the show. I'll pass you over to Max. So Maxime Tchoutakian, a big welcome to Control the Controllables. How are you doing?
Hey, how are you? I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
So come on then, out of 10, how did I do with the pronunciation?
Yeah, it was a solid 8, 9. It was pretty good.
Well, little do they know that I've just spent 5 minutes rehearsing, trying to get that right, and I still couldn't get it higher. And I have to. So that your surname, you're French, but the surname doesn't sound French.
Yeah, it's Armenian background from my dad's side, obviously, but obviously I'm fully French. I just have the look of an Armenian, I guess, and the name,
And how did umpires used to call that one out? Game, set, match.
I had some crazy one, like touch taken. I had everything, especially in college as well. That was quite funny in the States. Some very good ones, yeah.
And look, we're gonna get into it all. Obviously, at a relatively young career still, Max. And I had the pleasure of spending some time with you out in Sydney at United Cup, and for me, a fascinating story to see someone so young who still could be playing. You're young, you look young. You got the young looks. I'm sure still play very well. But now coaching a top 10 player in the world in Vicky Mboko. But as we always do on the podcast, tennis is, I guess, the thing that brings us all together, right? And I'm always fascinated by the stories into tennis, how, here we are traveling, drinking a coffee in Australia to Doha, to this place, to that place. But how did it get into your blood? If you go back kind of 20, 25 years, how did it all start?
Wow. So I started tennis when I was like 2.5 or 3 years old with my brother. I have an older brother that is 5 years older than me. He started to play tennis, and I got into him because of him. And then since then, it's been pretty much my whole life. So yeah, I did like everything you can imagine in terms of tournaments in south of France. And then I also travel like Europe wise. Then I played a little bit of juniors. I was always like in the top like 5-10 in my group age, especially at a young age. But at the same time, like in France, when you are like ranked, let's say 5 in your group age, well, you don't get the same help from the federation. It's always a bit tricky. So I had my parents' support, and then so I played pretty much until I was like 20. Then I took a break. I went to college in the States.
Yep.
I went to Baylor. I graduated from Baylor 2017. Before that, I was ranked around like 600-700 ATP. Went to college, got my degree, amazing experience. And then after I came back home, I started to play all over again. So without any points, going through qualies in the middle of Portugal, like Tunisia, like all these 15Ks and 25Ks. And and then I went up to 500 ATP, around 530. And then COVID came. I was 26 years old at that time, so still quite young, but at the same time, when you're like 500, you don't make a living out of it. So I was kind of like questioning myself, like, what do I really want to do instead and stuff. And then COVID hit, so lockdown, all of that, and I was like, okay, maybe it's the right time for me to take another path. I wanted to start coaching, but didn't know where and how to start. So my parents live in south of France. They live close from Mouratoglou Academy. So I decided to go there and do my degree as a coach, like French coaching. So I went there, but when I went there, I was still ranked like 500, so I was still playing quite okay. So I did my degree, but at the same time, I was a hitting partner for all these guys like Tsitsipas, Jérémy Chardy, Medvedev, that I played also in future, and also bunch of girls. So I was hitting with Coco Gauff, Anisimova, all these girls, and especially Azarenka, that came to practice there. I knew her coach at that time. And for me, I didn't know much if I wanted to coach on the men's side or on the women's side, but I knew on the women's side, you also start, when you're that young, you also start very often as a hitting partner. So for me, it was kind of like the path also, to learn gradually to follow that. And I was fine with that. And I had one practice with Azarenka. She kind of liked it and liked me, and then she, like, I got a call from her agent like 30 minutes after, and he was like, okay, she wants you to come for preseason, can you do that? And then it picked up. And from there I started with her to do a few weeks, and then it turned into a month, and then it turned into, okay, can you actually travel more? And after,
now you haven't been home since.
yeah. It's tough. It's tough in that sense, but it's a lot of travel.
So going back to whereabouts in France are you from?
I'm from Aix-en-Provence, close to Marseille.
Very nice. I know that you're a Marseille football fan. My research tells me. I'm Newcastle United.
Yeah.
So we did play you this year in the Champions League, but we won't talk about that on today.
Let's not talk about it. Yeah.
But I will ask you, Zerbi, you like him? He's obviously trying to keep Spurs up in England right now.
He's a character, man. I don't know, but I feel like he was suiting quite well to the team, to Olympique de Marseille. Like he's a little bit crazy, and that's what people like in Marseille, I guess, like super fans and stuff.
Well, I don't feel he's the right man to try and keep a team up in the league,
but who can in Marseille?
Well, that's true. But if you go back there to that time, because I actually played for a club in Saint-Tropez, actually, in club tennis many years ago. So I used to play a lot of matches in that area, and I used to talk without a lot of knowledge, because you go and you play these events. I played German league tennis, but I also played French league tennis. Okay. And I had this theory that French tennis was just incredible because of the clubs, and I couldn't believe I could turn up to this club and I had so many people to practice with who wanted to play because they wanted to play for the team at the weekend and not embarrass themselves. And there was this community feeling and everyone wanted to play tennis. And I'd then go back to the UK and I'd be like, well, nobody wants to play tennis unless you say you're playing. As a professional, coaches don't really play. Nobody, and it just culturally was so different. So you can tell me with actual knowledge how good is that system, and what are the real positives? And I guess there's maybe one or two flaws, maybe, and if they are, what are they? What are those?
Yeah, it's a good topic. I mean, French tennis in general, the level and the amount, as you said, the amount of players we have, it's insane. I mean, as you said, it started in the club, and you have like a bunch of coaches that are actually still in shape and can play at a really high level. And I feel like it's also, yeah, it's something that people look up to in a way in France, and they want to have
Yeah,
a coach that is still able to hit the ball well and
yeah,
stay competitive. So as you said, like we have pretty much in France, you can play like tournaments, pretty much like 2 or 3 tournaments a week, in a way. And I'm talking about level, like it's called the CNGT, it's like national, like grand tournoi. It's like the big
yeah,
like tournaments in France, and you can play like an actual circuit. It's a
yeah.
circuit on its own, and the level is like, if you want to win one of these tournaments, you have to play like top 300 ATP level. And so we have a range of players. I'm talking about the highest level in France, but the range of players is just amazing. So then you have the club matches as well. That are, as you know, like very very successful, with a lot of also for foreigners coming and trying to play those matches. But yeah, in general, the French system in terms of tournaments and players is quite unique, I think.
And the other thing that I always took from French, like I remember playing in juniors as well. There were so many juniors,
Yeah.
like I used to like. We used to have a bit of a joke actually.
Mhm.
You don't want to see FRA next to the name.
Yeah.
Like when you went and played like a
Yeah.
junior tournament. Obviously, I'd
Yeah.
go like Tarbes. That was my like career highlight. I won the doubles at Tarbes, Le
In
Petit
top,
A.
nice. Yeah, nice.
And
Les petits as.
yeah, and the
Yeah.
same year that Juan Carlos Ferrero actually won the a bit of a funny story. So me and my partner won that,
Okay.
and crazy. I mean, it was 1994, and in
But that's
qualify,
my year, actually. That's
there
why
you
I
go.
was
So
born.
so you weren't there to witness it, but
No.
in the qualifying, we played Andy Ram from Israel and his partner.
Okay.
Then in the first round main draw, we played Xavier Melisse and
Yeah,
Olivia
Xavier Marie is
Rockers.
from Belgium. Amazing player.
And then we played Marat Safin and Artem Deripaska in the quarterfinals. And then
Idol.
anyway, some Swedish guys in the semis. And then we played Fernando Gonzalez and his partner in the
Yeah.
final.
Mm.
Now, Juan Carlos Ferrero won the singles and beat Fernando Gonzalez in the final. So
Yeah.
fast forward to maybe it was 2020, and I was at a futures with a British player, a player that I was working with at the time. He was like 300 singles, Evan Hoyt,
Yeah, I know
and
him. Yeah.
Evan was playing against Carlos Alcaraz,
Okay.
at age 16
Yeah.
in the quarterfinals, semi-finals of the futures.
Yeah.
But another couple of players I were with, Johnny Binding and Pete
Yeah.
Bothwell, they won the doubles,
Yeah.
and then Carlos won the singles.
Mm.
So and I actually went up to Juan Carlos and said, "Look, this is," and they're like all these years on, back in Tarbes, we won the doubles, you won the singles. My players are winning the doubles, you're winning the singles.
Yeah.
You might not remember me, and I like got a photo, and he just kind of wasn't overly bothered. I thought it was quite a good story, but he just kind of looked at me as
Yeah.
if. But what I did ask him at the start of that week, as I said, "Look, how good is Carlos?"
Yeah.
Like I've seen. He said, "No, he's already top 50 level. He's already top 50 level," and
At 16 years old,
he was
that's
16.
insane.
He said he's already top 50.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm doing. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. But the one thing with the French players, Max,
Yeah.
that we always thought is how flary they were.
Yeah.
And how, so like you speculate, right? And you go, well, why is that? Are they not overcoached? You start questioning yourself. In our country, maybe we overcoach,
Hmm.
and there was this kind of a saying in the UK, Fabrice Santoro,
Yeah.
that people would say, well, he would never be able to come through the British system
Yeah.
because people would say you can't play like that. So why do we have all these kind of extravagant ways of playing tennis with French players? Why do you think that
Yeah, I
happened?
guess I guess it's like a culture thing. I would say maybe the level of coaching at a really young age, but also we are also, as a kid, we always try to spend a lot of time on court and playing mini tennis games.
Okay.
French people are very like, um, how can I say that without sound terrible, but like fucking around in a way,
Yeah, yeah,
when we play, and we play with a lot of like hand touch games,
yeah.
and that brings a certain variety in our game in a way, I guess. But also like technically in France, I think the coaches in general, they do a really good job. Like my coach when I was very young,
Okay.
from a very young age, when I started like playing more and more from, let's say, 6 to 12 years old, I had the same coach, and I felt he developed my technique in a really good way.
Yeah,
And I had a lot of people telling me, you play like a French guy with a lot of touch and stuff, like
yeah,
very
yeah.
skill, and but yeah, I guess I would say our culture, the way that we also spend time on court, because we have that in France. It's very easy to say, oh, the French player like mentally is kind of weak, but he's very talented and he knows how to manage the ball around. So we can be dangerous that way. But yeah, I guess it's more like a culture thing, and also the level of coaching, and developing players at a young age, and try to develop the like a proper technique. Even though everyone has his own technique, you will rarely see a French player having a bad technique, in my opinion.
Okay. And what about the mental part, the mental weakness? Because that again, when I was younger, we
Yeah.
used to call it the French tank,
Yeah.
right?
Well.
Which was almost like the French tank was almost for us actually as Brits.
Yeah.
It was almost they made you feel like you weren't trying,
Yeah.
and then you got roped in, and before you
Yeah.
know it,
Yeah.
you were kind of this match is won, and then you're not focused anymore, and
Yeah.
then these bloody French kids would then go and like break us back, and
Yeah.
before you knew it, we were losing our mind, and we'd
Yeah.
we'd been done by the French tank. Is
Yeah.
that a thing? Is this mental
Yeah,
weakness a
it's
thing? Is
it's
this
so
what?
funny. I
What's
I
this?
can I can relate to that. I mean, to be quite honest, I don't think I was like that. Like I never tanked matches, or I never pretend to tank matches, and I wasn't, I would say, built like that. But I think it comes down also, like I went couple weeks ago before Indian Wells. Actually, I went to Ore. Ore, the
Yeah, yeah, the
tournament.
under 12 tournament. Yeah.
Um, I was there because my girlfriend works for Yonex, and she was doing the
Okay.
scouting over there. So I went with her before jumping in the plane to Indian Wells, and I watched the kids. And again, you see a lot of kids at 12 years old, amazing technique, playing some great tennis. But as soon as it starts to get a little bit rusty, and you have to hustle and fight and go through it, they just run away. And then you see some Czech guys, some Russians, some other countries, like they are here and they're gonna die on court, And I
Yeah.
think also it's a mental, like it's a habit that we have as French kids in a way. But at the same time, it's also come down to like sponsors, for example. When you're young in France and you play quite okay, you get a shit amount of clothes, a shit amount of
Right. Okay.
rackets, and everything gets easy, and
Yep.
you miss a little bit of that hanger. And okay, like I'm gonna
Yep.
I'm gonna grind, and I'm gonna hustle, and maybe I'm gonna earn my way. Like, and you see, I'm talking about the Czech guys, because I saw a Czech player there that was 12 years old, and the way he was acting on court, how mature the kid was on court, and handling the momentums, that we
Yep.
find also at the highest level with players, like top 10 players, like highs and lows, and the way he navigate through it, and the way he answered that at his age. I was like, on top of the fact that he was playing extremely well, but I was actually very very shocked. And the guy, you can tell he was wearing a Nike shirt with the Adidas short, and he had a racket, like a Babola racket, with the head bag, and you're like, okay, if he was this kid in France, he would get sponsor, and he would everything would come much easier. And I think
And then
it
agents as well, even worse.
sorry.
The agents as well come in at that
Yeah,
age, which
yeah,
makes it
but
even worse, doesn't
yeah,
it?
at the end of the day, it drags you away from the essence of why you're on the tennis court, and what you have to go through. So I think for me it's a big topic because this is something that I experienced also as a kid, and then went on into juniors. And because I was top players in my group age in France, in terms of sponsor, I would get pretty much everything, and sometimes you lose yourself a bit in there, and as you say, like agent, and like you can be put, because you play quite good, you can be put up there even though you haven't done anything yet, in my opinion.
It's so interesting. It's like that, because I think there's another point to this, which is, so hopefully to explain my point. Luke Saville, don't you remember Luke
Yeah,
Saville?
I remember extreme.
So
Yeah, of
he's
course.
your age, I think.
Yeah,
You know,
he's
so
94. Yeah.
now Luke, I remember because I coached Josh Ward Hibbert, and I was with
I
Liam Brody.
played
Those.
I played Josh Ward-Hibbert.
Where did you play him?
Uh,
Because I've always known your name, so
yeah,
I've seen your name, so I'm sure I
I
would have.
I played him actually. It's so funny. I played him in doubles in Bahrain, 15K. I
Okay.
was I was playing with Julien Canina from Belgium in doubles, and we play against him and Liam Brody.
My big thing with Luke was I remember watching him play. Maybe it was actually the year Liam Brody ended up making final of Junior Wimbledon. I want to say 2011,
Mm,
2020. But watching Luke that year, he lost to Luke in the final.
yeah,
But when I watched Luke, as good as Luke was, my concern, if I was like scouting talent, my concern was he was so good mentally that I felt he was winning because of his maturity.
yeah,
And I felt that like maybe some of the other players, when they caught up a bit with that
yeah,
maturity,
yeah.
had more game.
Okay.
And and like that would just sometimes that's just one of my, so I guess you have things, right, like confirmation biases we all have in this life, that we then it sticks in our mind. So that for me, when I see youngsters who are really good and like mature, I sometimes wonder, are they winning now because of their maturity? And is that maybe an upside that someone else is going to gain on them
Yeah,
over the next few years? A bit like probably like I won certainly on the doubles court, but we won quite a bit when we were younger. I was like 6 foot when I was 12, so I was winning certain matches because of my size. And then I maybe didn't develop some of the other skills and tools that the smaller player did.
yeah,
That's why I think talent scouting is fascinating, because for that reason. I mean, you get your generational talents, of course, that anyone can see. I think any of us could. I mean, I saw Alcaraz at 13, 14, and anybody. I saw Andy
yeah,
Murray at 12. But it's quite an interesting topic as well, just in terms of whether that mental maturity at a young age is a good thing. It's
yeah,
obviously a good thing, but is
yeah.
that maybe something that maybe catches up in future? I don't know what you think.
Yeah, yeah, it can. I mean, it can. You're right. It's a good point, but and it's very tough because we all evolve like differently. Maybe, as you say, like the physical part is also huge. Like I remember when I was young, there were so many players that were pretty good. I think because of their fitness and the fact that they were very tall at a young age compared to me, where I was like extremely short as a kid. But then it catches up, if you don't develop your technique, obviously your mental, your tactical aspect, also so many compounds, like aspects, that can also trigger at some point. But definitely it's not also because you're very good at a young age that you're gonna end up being successful on the tour. We know so many players that played extremely well in the juniors and under, and then they never ever made it. So
So,
it's
Max,
the way.
Marseille to Waco, Texas.
Sorry, what? Marseille or
Marseille to Waco, Texas.
Waco, Texas? Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Like what a contrast.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that is a serious contrast. So how did you manage that contrast? How was, I was in LSU. I don't know if we spoke about this, but I
yeah,
was
LSU,
LSU
yeah,
many
yeah,
years
yeah, good
ago. I'm
school.
a big advocate of college tennis, but
Yeah,
Baylor's always been a powerhouse.
yes.
How was your time there?
No, it was amazing. I mean, I developed. mostly as a man, there, but also on the fitness part was quite a lot. We had a lot of morning workouts, very tough sessions. Our school and our coaches at that time were, it was almost made like a military kind of
Right. Okay.
training. So it was very tough, but I learned a lot. And also, I mean, I would definitely suggest to parents and players at a young age, when you're 16, 17, 18, to look for that path, because now we see a lot of players coming out on tour and making it and having their time of their life after their college career and when they go pro. And for me, it's like, if you're not top elite player at 16, like Zverev or Bonachoric or Alcaraz, Sinner, these guys, you should definitely like consider going to college, because the level is extremely high. And this is something also in France we struggle a lot, and we didn't have a lot of French player going there until like now, because we always thought that, okay, if you go to college, you're going to give up your tennis career after, which is completely wrong in a way. So yeah, my time was amazing. I went to the biggest schools. I had my scholarship. Everything was paid. It was, I mean, we had a lot of budget, so we were like traveling a lot, like East Coast, West Coast. So we see a lot. And you also play not only for yourself, you play for a team. And I think it also helps to grow as a human being, in a way. But yeah, I have a funny fact actually about that. It's like, when I was 18, I had a lot of school trying to reach out, how it is, and trying to get me into the team. And I was like, always, no, 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 I deny, I don't want to go to college. And when I was 20, playing professional, I was in qualies of a challenger in Geneva, last round of qualies, and I played Radu Albot. He was 160 in the world. I was at that time, I think 700, 750, whatever. I'm up 7-6, 4-0 indoors. Can't win a game. I lost 7-6, 6-1. I was destroyed. And after the match, I get a text from Baylor's coach. And he's like, okay, I watched your match. I think you played great, blah, blah, blah. I would like for you to come and visit the school. I would offer for you just to catch a flight in the next days. You come for 4 days and you visit the school, and then you have a certain view on what's like college, like college tennis, sorry. And at that time, I was like talking to my coach, and we were discussing about, oh, maybe you can take that path and go to college, and then maybe mature and see also and get a degree. Because for me, it was important also to have a degree, improve my English, see also a different side of life, I guess. And so when I got that message, I was like, okay, full on, you know what? I'm going to catch a flight. So I caught a flight, I think the very next day. I went to Baylor, I visited the school, and I saw the facilities they have compared to Europe. It's insane. You have all the physios you want. You had so many gyms. You have the cafeteria as well, and everything evolves around the athletes. And to me, it was amazing. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna go to college. So I signed up. So this was back in like what, October, and I signed up, and I played my first college match in January. So it was very like very short transition, but obviously at the beginning was quite tough, especially with the English, with the barrier and stuff. But it was after a few months, I felt good, and it was the best decision of my life, I think, in terms of like when I was 20-ish.
The paths there, the sliding doors moments is
Yeah,
it's incredible. You win that match,
yeah,
maybe then you don't have the humility, right? If you,
yeah,
you win that match,
mm,
we had that with Josh Ward Hibbert actually,
yeah,
because he was all signed to go to Texas A&M,
yeah.
and that
Good
was
stuff.
always the path. We
Yeah,
always talked about that. And then he made quarterfinals of the singles at the 2012 Aussie Open Juniors and
okay,
won the doubles. And then the LTA said, okay, we're going to offer him this package, our top package, to support him. And I said, but we sat in a meeting 1 month ago and agreed that college was the right route.
Yeah.
What's changed?
Yeah.
Well, he's top 10 in the world in juniors now. He's done that. Yeah, but he was
Doesn't mean
the same.
shit.
He's the same player. He's just had an okay result. Yeah, but we kind of feel we have to, now that he's ranked like this.
Yeah, he's political anyways.
And so his sliding doors moment took him away from college because he had this one great result.
Yeah.
And then he's now a professional basketball player.
Wow, that's insane. I didn't know that. Okay, wow, that's a good turnaround, I guess, huh?
Yeah, so he ended up he won a couple of futures, he got to maybe 500, but then when he went into the LTS system, it didn't suit him really. He ended up going to Loughborough University, and then when he was at Loughborough University playing tennis, he started playing a bit for their basketball team.
Yeah.
He was always a good basketball player, and then
he was so tall.
Yeah, and then he's still now professional basketball player, actually in Newcastle in the UK, so makes a good living, plays for Great Britain in the Commonwealth Games or England in the Commonwealth Games, and he's doing all of those things. So it's amazing how it happens. And now, before I move on from college, because I want to move into your coaching, national titles, Baylor's always in and around them. Any
NCAA semis. We were ranked 1 in the country throughout pretty much the whole year with Virginia. We were like 1 and 2, but actually we lost in semis against them. I think that year in 2015 they were 1, we were 3, or we were 1, they were 3, something like that. I don't remember, but yeah, we lost in semis against them. We won the Big 12 conference a few times. Yeah, I mean, we had success for sure. Like we were ranked top 10 each year. Good. Yeah.
We made NCAA Final Four at LSU, and it's still for me. Granted, I didn't have this amazing playing career, but I did play Wimbledon a couple of times. It's still by far the most amazing experience I've ever had.
Yeah.
Just we played UCLA in Georgia.
Yeah.
Just before Georgia were playing Ole Miss in the other semi-final.
Yeah, so in the stands, with the stands.
Oh my!
It's amazing. I had tough matches there as well. Actually, against Georgia, I won an epic match, and I turned around. I showed the BU sign. It was great times. Yeah.
It makes us do all sorts of things. So you've had a decent playing career, but if I take you forward, it's like when we start talking about the names like Azarenka, obviously Vicky, who you're working with now, these players. Obviously, Vicky's not there yet, but Grand Slam champions, world number ones. When you look at yours, it's somewhat moderate. In terms of that. But you want to get into coaching, you've gone the hitting partner route, and it's like, it seems to almost be, I guess my starting question on it is that almost the only way, if you haven't played or coached to that level, is the only way of getting in, do you think? Almost as a hitting partner?
I don't know. I can just talk for myself. I was her hitting partner at the start. We obviously chat and talk a lot about her games during practices, and I felt like she kind of liked the way I saw her game and what I thought was needed as well to implement and try to work on. And she gave me my chance. That's about that, and at some point she was like, okay.
After how long?
After I would say a good 4 months, like traveling with her. She gave me my chance, and I mean, it wasn't easy. I was starting, so obviously I was making mistakes for sure. I'm still making mistakes. I don't pretend to know everything by far. For me, it was a learning process, and she also knew it in a way. but she was also at a stage of her career. She was like 31 years old, coming back on tour after some time off, and yeah, she trusted me, and I felt like I was working hard and trying to always learn, and I had my views on her game. And even though, yes, she was ranked number one in the world in the past and had tremendous success, I felt there were many stuff that can be improved. She wasn't done, and yeah, I just went day by day and tried to make her better in a way.
How does that conversation go with someone like Azarenka asking you to become the coach? Does she do that directly with you? Is that something that happens through the agent? How does that happen?
Yeah, so what happened is at that time she was working with the French coach that now coach Gaël Monfils. His name is Dorian Desclois. He's
Yeah, I met him in Indian Wells.
Oh,
Actually,
you did?
lovely guy. Yeah, I
Yeah,
did. Yeah,
amazing guy. We are
yeah.
we are very very close. Good guy. I used to play future with him. We went in the middle of Turkey together to play futures and stuff. And at that time, he was coaching her. But the thing is, I mean, he has a family. He had 3 kids. He couldn't do 40 weeks on the road, like you know how it
Yeah.
is. So we decided at some point to split the weeks.
Okay.
But we proposed that to Vika, and at first she was like, yeah, why not? And at some point, like I mean, they had their things, and he went on a different direction, and from there she basically like asked me, no, I want you to be my only coach. Like I want you to coach me, because at first I was more as a assistant coach in a way, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, hitting partner, then assistant coach, and then it transitioned to actually like full-time coaching. So it came pretty natural, I would say, on her side. Again, she felt the need. She also like told me that she trusted me, and she wanted to, yeah, to take on, and for me, obviously at first it was a bit scary, because you're like working with top athletes, right? And
Yeah.
someone that has been at the top, so it's a lot of pressure. But in a way I felt like, okay, like this is an opportunity for me, and I didn't want to mess it up. And I've tried, at least I've tried hard, in my opinion, and tried to help her the best I can.
And at that stage, Max, do you feel like you've got your own philosophies? Do you feel like you've got your way of working, or I guess you kind of been thrown into this world from your playing career? How much of that is you're just going with what you feel, and then kind of fast forward now 6 years?
Yeah.
How much do you feel you've now maybe evolved as a coach and maybe have some sort of stronger philosophies that you believe in?
Yeah, I think at first, the fact that I was playing at a quite decent level also helped me to
Of course.
transition into the coaching career, especially reading the games, and also, I was watching. I mean, I'm still watching tennis like 24/7. So I'm watching every single match, and I think it helped me to build also my philosophy as a coach, and what I believe, and what is important right now on the women's tour. And it evolves every single day, because if you look at like the WTA like 10 or 15 years ago compared to now, the game has changes like drastically.
What are
So,
the biggest changes, do you think?
well, to me, the serve and forehand, the serve plus one, return plus one, is like, if you compare from 10 years ago, 15 years ago to now, like the girls now, they are serving bombs, like the top girls. If you look at them, it's like they serve really big, and the first shot is becoming so important as well. But that's just one of other example that we can find.
Yeah.
But to me, yeah, serve plus one is massive. It's, I think, for me, the fact that I was playing before helped me also to build my own identity as a coach. And now for sure 6 years later, or 5, 6 years later, I feel that I have more skills also, the way I communicate with the player, and when to say something, when to shut up also, which also changes depending on the players you are working with, right? Everyone is different, and I'm not coaching Vicky Mboko the same way I coach Azarenka, because they are like different human.
I've just got a couple of things I want to ask you before I want to jump into Vicky. Do you have any regrets so far in your coaching career? Is there anything that you go, shit, I wish that I hadn't have done that, or hadn't have said that, or hadn't have done?
I don't know. It's a tricky question. Any regrets? Yes, maybe sometimes I felt like I didn't trust myself enough, because in a way I knew I was young and I was a young coach. So like sometimes I would doubt myself, maybe because I was that young. But looking back, I'm like, man, I think you were pretty much like spot on. And I know it sounds arrogant, but sometimes I felt like, well, maybe I could have done that, or I could have said that as well, and which now it's a bit more different. I'm taking maybe more risk in my coaching way, especially during matches with the tension and the nerves. And I'm going maybe more into it, when before at times I could be a little bit more it's not shy, but a little bit more like doubtful in a way,
Is this
and
during matches?
yeah, or doing matches, or also if I had like ideas, and sometimes I'll be maybe not this. But for me it's a trial and fail, like a fail and trial process, and you keep
Yeah.
and you have to always keep evolving, and as I said, like I'm still making mistakes, and I'm fine with that in a way, because it's who doesn't,
Yeah.
and I have my values, and I have my beliefs, sorry, and I try to stick to it more and more, I would say. So I don't know if it's a regret or anything, but in the past I could get a little bit more tense within myself in that way. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. It's interesting, Max, because when you were talking earlier, as a 26-year-old starting or being
Yeah.
involved in Vika's team,
Yeah,
who, certainly from the outside, she's got a bit of an aura, she was
a lot.
her,
Crazy.
like,
Yeah.
and she's obviously around the Williamses and Serena, all of that, you can think of these iconic matches. And if we take all the 6-year-olds in the world, you've got to be very high percentile of one of the ballsy ones to be able to get your belief across the board to somebody like that. Like the largest percentage of 26-year-olds in the world wouldn't ever even dream of having the confidence to start telling a former world number one something. Do you know what I mean?
No, I agree.
That's like a real skill that you clearly have.
Yeah, I guess, and I mean also it's the fact that our relationship, like coaches, players, last for close to 4 years, which I think, as you know, on
Yeah.
the WTA is pretty big, right?
Is it?
Yeah, it's not always like that.
It's like a
So
knighthood. It's like a knighthood in the UK.
it's quite funny, because I mean, yes, as you said, it's ballsy in a way, as a 26 years old. But looking back, I didn't get to the point where, okay, I was doubting myself to, like, oh no, I can't do it. Like it wasn't about that, but it was at times, we had, as we had like struggles and ups and downs, but I was like questioning myself a lot, and it's draining also in a way.
It
It's
is.
when you come out of a working a relationship like that, it's not easy also to like bounce back and get into a new project. I would say
What do you think the biggest skills are needed to work on the tour?
adaptation. I don't know if that makes
Yeah,
sense,
for
but to
sure. No, it
me,
does, for sure.
you need
Constantly.
constantly. You need to constantly adapt. I mean, we are traveling on all continents, and you're facing different opponents. Sometimes you play the same player the first week, and the second week, out of a sudden, it's a different match. And I mean, we can talk for hours, but you need to like constantly adapt to something new and something unexpected. And if you are not, to me, this is like the best advice I could give also to like young coaches. If you're not ready to sacrifice also a lot of your private life and your, how can I say, your private life, and put your own life aside, and I'm sure you can relate on that. If you're not ready for that, and the fact that you need to adapt to different things in your career, if you're not ready for that, you're gonna lose track, and you're not gonna stay in that field.
And we talked off air. You guys have been doing a bit of work with Carlos Rodriguez this week
Yeah,
in Barcelona, ready for the clay court season.
yeah,
And I asked you, he obviously spent a lot of time. He's a big name coach,
yeah.
I guess, on the tour. Spent a lot of time with some big players, and I asked you what makes a good coach. Spending time with someone like that.
Mm.
What is it when you're around these people, and you've got Wim Fissette. You see a lot of them kind of working with a lot of top players.
Yeah.
What are the things in your opinion that make that coach so
Yeah,
successful?
yeah. I think first experience. I think this is something you cannot teach. They have a lot of experience. I mean, Carlos with Justin Henin, he won I don't know how many slams, but they had a tremendous success, and he's very calm. He works hard. He's humble. Um, he sees the game very precisely. Technically, I think he has a lot of stuff to bring. Tactically, I was very pleased also to talk. I'm pleased to talk with him about a lot of tactics, especially on clay. But the way, for me, when you define a good coach, is also the way you communicate to the player, and the way you approach, and how you can send the message across. Because we can all say pretty much the same thing, but it's how you identify it, and how you send it through, and that goes through the player. Because at the end of the day, you can say whatever you want. If the player doesn't really listen, or it doesn't go through, and you don't work through it, it's only blah blah blah.
Yeah,
And I feel like he has that kind of maybe an aura, I would say, in a coach,
yeah.
that goes through the audience, and catches people. And to me, this is what I see on few coaches on tour, or where I feel like, okay, like this guy knows his stuff.
Is that because? Sorry, I'm going to have to be careful on this subject, because I could talk for hours on this subject, or I could question you on this subject a lot.
Yeah,
My theory on this, or philosophy on this, is people always ask, who's the best coach? Who's the best coach? Who's the best coach? And for me, there's a best coach, or there's a good coach for a player
yeah,
at a certain period of time,
I agree.
stage, and that is the best coach for what they need in that certain particular period of time, for whatever reason. And it's like, whereas what I see, and I guess one of my pet peeves a little bit, is I almost see the agents parading coaches to the players. And I've had coaches on, and Michael Joyce, he won't mind me saying it, but I
Yeah,
question him a lot on this. And
yeah,
I like to question the coaches on how it comes about. And I won't say names, but I spoke to a player, I think it was US Open, and they were like, yeah, I'm working with this new coach. And I said, who's that? And they were like, it was like a named coach.
mm,
And I said, and how was that process? Oh, well, my coach just said, that there's this coach. Okay, and what conversations happened, and how much did you go for? No. Well, we're just doing a trial period for 6 months. And I'm like, what? Like what? Like, and I actually got into not trouble, but I said something on BBC about Emma Raducanu at Australian Open that with kind of some people, they made a headline out of it. But what I was saying is I was saying like someone like an Emma Raducanu, I don't think she needs a coach right now, actually. I think she needs to understand herself first. And then you actually start putting the coach into what you need.
Yeah.
And that's like at that stage in your life and your stage of a career. Like, I think that connection is that strong. Whereas I see so many players almost just like throwing darts in the dark because there's a name. And
Yes.
and in some ways within our industry, I guess I've gone off on a few tangents there, but like
No, but yeah, I get it. Yeah.
that's the bit for me of like, that's why I want to ask about Carlos, because it's like sometimes part of me thinks it's a bit luck, it's a bit of timing, but then once you're in, or if I take my personal situation, now I'm in the world of WTA ATP doubles. The perception maybe is that I'm this really good coach, but I think I was okay a few years ago when I was also working with players that were playing lower level tournaments.
Yeah.
But now naturally the eyes go to those. And I just wonder how many coaches are out there that aren't getting the opportunities.
I think you're right. I think a lot, but I think first of all, it's a business, right? So when we talk about agents, for sure, the agents, they have their names, they have their coaches' names as well. And whenever there is a player looking for a coach, they're gonna most likely send the big names that they have in their pockets, right? And that shows that a lot of coaches are not having the chance to even have a trial with a player, because at the end of the day, you can hire the best coach that you think, whatever, but if you don't have a connection with the player and coach, if they cannot find that connection as a person at first, I would say it's you go in the wrong direction, in my opinion. So I don't think there is a recipe, to say, oh, okay, this coach is amazing or this coach is not. But everyone has their strength, I would say. And as you mentioned, yes, it's very important that the player also, the younger the better, but the player has to understand what he needs and what he's looking into a person and a coach. So then he can fine tune that and actually find the right fit. And I think it goes the same for coaches. I don't think
Yes.
coaches I cannot coach maybe the same people that you might coach, because
Yes.
we have different values, different thoughts on how to work and person wise as well. So it's I think it goes both ways, and it's more about how you approach and the communication you have at early on, also on the in the relationship. And yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I love like the Anton story with Sabalenka. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know the full story, but I don't think Anton coached anyone before.
No, and he was her hitting partner.
Right. Okay. And
He
like,
was.
obviously,
I mean,
but you feel
I think he was.
okay.
Yeah.
So you feel that connection, or Andrew Bettles with
Yeah.
Svitolina, and I
Yeah.
know there was hitting partner stuff. It's a common thing, but I like there's different people that can really add value to these players' lives and stories
Yeah.
that aren't just big name coaches. Now, I know your current player, Vicky. I got to know a little bit in Sydney, and certainly even age 19.
Yeah.
She's poor. What a switched on kid, right? Bloody hell. I was like, wow, so I'm sure she knows what she wants. I'm sure she
Yeah.
also has a lot of people that are telling her what she should want and shouldn't want, because she's a superstar.
Yeah.
But tell us, how did that come about, that you were part of Vicky's team?
Yeah, well, they were like looking, because she was enrolled with the Tennis Canada, I mean, part of Tennis Canada. She was they were like looking to add a coach as well in the team, and it happened that I knew her agent at that time, so we started to chat, and and yeah, pretty much it went that I did a trial with her last year in Ningbo. We did Ningbo, Tokyo, and Hong Kong. And yeah, I mean, she won Hong Kong. I think she felt quite good with me, and even myself. Like I felt she's a nice kid. She works hard. She's a nice kid. She has very good really good values. Very very stable, and in a way also very mature for her age. And I think it helps. Coming back to what we discussed earlier, and so yeah, we did a trial, and it went well, and here I am coaching her now for a few months now. It's been great. She's honestly, I think she has that type of aura as a big player already. Everyone loves her. She's a superstar, but at the same time, she's still very young. So it's a process for her. It's only she has done only not even a year on tour, like fully. So I mean, last year she was ranked like 300 something in January.
Incredible journey. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's everything comes very fast. So yeah, we need to remain calm. We need to stay humble, and we need to work, because obviously everyone is good. Everyone is trying to chase her already. Even though she's 19, people now start to understand how she plays and what she does. So she's gonna have also to deal with more pressure, and she's already like dealing with that. But she's handling herself extremely well so far, and it's important to try to remain that way and stay calm, because we've seen in the past a lot of players also having big results, and out of a sudden they are out of the door in few months. So I'm excited, but in the same time I'm trying to remain calm and keep the team also calm, so we can work in the right direction, because we know how tough this journey is.
And what does the daily work look like in terms of from in your role as coach? Like, how much of it is on the mental side, the physical side, the technical side, the tactical side? How much involvement do you have with data? Like, I know when Iga trained came to my academy in sort of Grande, sort of tennis academy, when she was 19 or 20, so similar age. And she
Yeah.
actually came with a team, but the performance analyst came as well.
Yes.
And I had big chats with him, Mike James, who's a
Yeah,
friend
I
of
know
mine.
him
But
well.
what I found out that week is she was using data for development, not necessarily for scouting.
Yeah.
Whereas I remember he was telling me at the time, like when he'd done stuff with Stan Wawrinka as an example, at that business end of his career, or to what we thought was towards the end of his career 5 years ago. He's still bloody going. Is he would use it more from scouting purposes.
Yeah.
So how much are you doing of that, and how much of it's like management of the team and all the bits to just being able to just be a tennis coach and get on the court and develop? How do you
Yeah.
find your days and weeks are split up with all
Yeah.
of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good topic, but definitely using the analysis. I'm using it a lot. Like, we work with analysis, and it definitely helps for myself as a tennis coach to build up the sessions and see what we need to improve. That's for sure. But it helps also the fitness part in terms of movement, and what we also need to improve when we can rewatch the matches, and do some short video clips and cut things, and then show, and be able to show also Vicky if we need to, because I think it's important for the player to visualize what they do, especially in matches. And then obviously there is like the scouting part, where this is how I also build the weeks in terms of like scouting, where I go through players, and I try to understand also a lot of patterns, like serve patterns, returns, what's their strength in which in terms of positioning in the court, like what's most likely gonna happen. And then of course I try to bring that and make something like like summarize this. So then when I am able to talk with Vicky, I'm trying to keep it simple, because also for the players, I know, and this comes with experience as well, I know you sometimes less is better in a way, when you communicate with the player, especially during the tournaments and stuff, and you have to also be precise, but sometimes condense what you want to say, because it can be overwhelmed also at times. And this can apply to pretty much every player, and some works better with having stats, some doesn't, some players don't want to hear it at all. You have to constantly adapt, and for sure it's a big part of our job, because people think that, okay, you are on court for 1 hour in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon, or vice versa, but it doesn't come down to only that. It's how you manage around, and how you schedule things, and have to go back again during the week, to try to build something big for your player.
How good is she?
Honestly, I think I think she's going to win multiple slams. It's not going to be easy for sure, but I think she has that in her. What's important as well is what the players also see in her.
Yep.
And when you chat around and you see what the player has had to say about her, they also see her being up there. She's improving for sure. She has a lot of work to do, obviously, but I think if she stays healthy, for sure she will be one of the big names in for the next years.
I took 3 things away from spending time with you guys, fortunately in Sydney, but specifically to Vicky. One, and first and foremost, and I've said it to you before, and I've also said it to Vicky. She was a delight, like an absolute, like genuinely, like I almost probably need to stop saying it, because people are going to say you're obsessed with this Vicky Mboko. But I could not believe how someone so good, so young, and maybe this is a negative in our sport, because I'm used to almost people like that not necessarily showcasing that humility, in our sport. And it was every morning at breakfast. And I didn't really know a lot of people, in the Canadian team, but she would come up every morning and shake my hand and say good morning. Like little things that you don't forget, right? So many little small things, or a smile, or just you. For me, I thought that was brilliant, and I saw it happen a lot. The second one for me was, I was like, wow, she's running a lot.
Yeah.
Every time I seemed to look, I was like, whoa, she's doing a lot of sprints, and I can see she's just cracking on, getting the work done, as well, which was impressive, in the. And the third one was, it was a match warm up, and it was Cleve Harper, who I work with. Cleve was warming her up, and obviously you were there, and it was the noise when she hit the ball under the little canopy, and I was like, whoa, that's like the noise. It was different. The noise was, and I know you said earlier about the women's game with the serve, and I know Rybakina serves beautifully.
Yeah.
Obviously Sabalenka can serve, but for me,
Rybakina is next level, in my opinion.
She
as
is,
well.
yes, exactly. And then, but from what I saw that week, that is a seriously special serve that Vicky has, and I'm sure that you guys are developing, and is going to be, and those 3 standouts, for me were there, and that, like, to see the character going with the ability, and to see all of those things, and then I loved spending time with you, having a humble coach and someone around her as well. It's she's someone that certainly. I'm a big supporter of you guys. I know I'm out there on the tour as well, but I'm a big fan and supporter of you guys as well, and wish you guys the absolute best. I really do. Now, you've been very kind with your time, Max. But we do have a quick fire round. There's, that we to finish us off. Now, it can be as quick as you want, so it can be really quick. And I don't want to keep you too much longer because you've got a practice session to get ready for tomorrow and a clay court season to prepare for. But what does Control the Controllables mean to you?
Yeah, it's basically taking care of stuff that is manageable, and that's a tough one. And it's taking care, of the stuff that we can manage. I would say.
Alcaraz or Sinner?
Oof, Sinner. I like both, but Sinner to me is out of this world. I love him.
What's your favorite tournament?
Australian Open.
We all say that.
Yeah, but I mean, when you have the chance to go through the whole calendar and you've done it all, which is our case, to me, Australian Open, you cannot compare.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received as a coach?
Trust yourself.
Very good. What's harder? What's more difficult?
Yeah.
Being a player or being a coach?
Being a coach. Yeah, I mean, I've been in both sides now, and it's pretty intense when you're a coach because you can't control much, in my opinion.
Are coaches paid well enough? And let me just preempt that a little bit. Even in our relatively short conversation today, we know, right? We know, but people hopefully know, or most people know, you are basically sacrificing your life for somebody else.
Yes.
In lots of ways. So all of that being said,
yeah,
are coaches paid well enough for what they do, for what they are actually doing, considering what the players are being paid?
That's a tricky one. Let me say it that way. I think we do, but at the same time, because we don't have that job secure for quite a long time, because our job, let's be honest, our job is on the line pretty much every day, right? Our contract means very little. I don't know if you would agree with me, but that's a tough topic, but it means so little that on a weekly basis, maybe we are getting paid well enough, but on the long run,
it's a good answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good answer. That kind of, that guarantee of an
yes,
annual wage. Exactly. Yeah.
you don't have any guarantee,
Yes.
It's like, yes, we are getting paid, I think, quite well enough, but at the same time, on the long run, you might be short for weeks, month, or more, So
and there's also no control. I certainly am not giving my opinion saying we're not, but it's like for me it's the lack of control and also understanding what the right pay is as well. Or within, there's no governing body, right? It's all,
exactly. But
it's a free world, so it's
also
hard to know
what
the going rates are or what the relevant percentages are. But there's obviously very big sacrifices that go into it. Who's your role model in your tennis career?
Well, Roger Federer, I'm a big fan, but I used to be obsessed with Leighton Hewitt.
Yeah.
I was playing with the reverse hat because of him. I just love his how like feisty he was on court and how pumped he was, and like I just loved everything about him. So that would be one. Marat Safin for the backhand, the cleanness of his backhand for sure.
And his aura to tournaments.
Sorry?
There's just his aura at the tournaments now.
Yeah, true. And you know what? There is one guy that I got the chance to meet throughout my young career as a coach is Andy Murray. I met Andy Murray. We exchanged few words, and I've watched him practice when he was, I think it was probably 2022, something like that. So he was like by the end of his career, but the dedication he had on the tennis court at his age with all the success he had. And that's something that I found also with Azarenka, the way she execute, the way she put everything on a tennis court, if it was 5 minutes or 2 hours, the intensity she brought. And that's something that Andy had as well, in my opinion. And also the chance to like talk to him and see how of a nice guy he is. I was very impressed, and that's something I look up. Sometimes I run into him in some of the tournaments, and I was like, oof, that's the guy. That kind of feeling.
I'm a lot older than you because all of the players you're saying are all my era.
Yeah.
And
What about yours?
Well, do you know what? I was Stefan Edberg was my first as a player, and then I got to practice with him when I was 16 because he used to practice in London.
Yeah.
And I had this amazing 2 weeks where I practiced with him every day, and it was just like, oh my goodness, like how I couldn't play for the first couple of days because I was so nervous, but then I actually got like on really good terms with him. And just how graceful he was as a person, but also how he moved on the court, and so he was kind of probably my first big player that mid-80s. Federer was my age, but he became my guy, really. Federer, like he just, come on. I mean, this guy, watching him play that tiebreak against Casper Ruud in Australian Open this year, I think I watched it about 15 times on Instagram. I was like,
but we all did. I think we all did.
He's just still got it. He's just everything. And then as a British guy, even though I'm older than Andy, and I played against Andy when Andy was coming through, my admiration for Andy was just through the roof. Just what he did and what he did for British tennis, and how he carried it through. He carried through this place where we almost felt it was impossible to get through, with the British media and all of those things. And, see it. So very, very, very similar to you, actually. But my ego story, because there's always, and I apologize for anyone who listens in every time, but about sharing my stories. But when you're 46 years old, you've got to try and relive something, was 1994 Windmill Cup, under 14 event in Holland. I played Leighton Hewitt for the one and only time in singles in the semi-finals of the consolation draw, and managed to get a win. So I'm 1-0 over Leighton. But you playing Leighton Hewitt in the consolation draw, he was still doing the come-ons and touch of Johnny Mack and all of these. He was that feisty guy. So we've been blessed with a lot of amazing players. Last couple, really quick. Should we have net codes or not? College tennis doesn't. ITF juniors doesn't. Pro tennis, should you have a net code, or is it just if the serve goes over, whoever it touches it, we play on, or should it be a let?
No, I would keep the tradition on that. Keep the let.
Medical timeouts or not? Should we have them?
I would get rid of it.
One rule change that you would make to tennis that's not the medical timeout rule.
Less tournaments in terms of scheduling. Like, this is the only sport where you have like 11-month like schedule, of tournaments, and then I think it burns players in a way. I'm talking for singles.
But it's doubles the same. But it's like, look, I had a conversation. Mark Petchy in Miami, and it was the day before my girls played in the semi-finals.
Yeah.
But he's there working for the Tennis Channel. So it's like, and he was saying, I didn't actually see the match, but he said that, Carlos Alcaraz seemed very burnt out in the match against Korda. And it's like, but it's not just the players, it's all the coaches, it's all the stringers, the physios, the broadcasters, there's
everyone.
Like this.
Everyone involved.
The weeks like that, to be in America for 4 weeks for Indian Wells and Miami is just crazy.
Yeah,
it's like, for these tournaments, and it's like,
but it never stops.
It never stops.
Yeah, the following week is a Charleston. Then you have
Yeah.
And it keeps going. It keeps going. Yeah.
Yeah, and look, it's people are going to go, "Oh, you're lucky," and it is, and it's amazing what we do, right?
Yes, exactly.
We're very privileged, but
We are.
there's definitely a way of making it a little bit better and
Yeah.
more maybe humane for everyone and their welfare. The last question I always ask Max on the podcast is, but before you answer, whatever you answer, you are taking on the responsibility of helping get this person on the show next. So
Okay.
don't just throw somebody random like, I had Adam Jones on. I don't know if you know
Yeah, I
Jones.
know. Yeah, of course, I know. I
He
know.
was
Yeah.
so Jonesy was on last week, and Jonesy said Carlos Alcaraz. Now, Jonesy, if you're listening, you still haven't got Carlos Alcaraz on the show, mate. So you better get to work. Somebody said Donald Trump. I'm not sure I want Donald Trump on the show, but anyway, Andy Murray said Daniil Medvedev, and Andy Murray, if you are listening, you still have not produced Daniil Medvedev for me. So who should come on the show? Who should be next on Control the Controllables?
Okay, I would say the first name that comes to my mind, Paul Toledo, the coach of Paola Badoza.
Ah, nice,
Very nice guy. Uh,
nice.
Very humble. Young guy as well, my
Yes,
age.
yeah.
I think would be good to have his view also on this journey.
Awesome. Well, I'll be in touch. Well, I will be seeing you next week in Madrid, so
Yeah.
we can get it set up. The listeners will be saying, "Come on, we're waiting for him." But Max, you're an absolute star. For me, it's just nice to chat to you. I'm sorry I took a bit longer than I said I would, but I always enjoy our conversations. I think
Yeah.
you're doing a brilliant job. Keep up the great work, and look forward to catching up next week.
Yes, for sure we will. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. Thank you so much.
So there we have it. So many topics that we jumped into. I always feel with my conversations with Max, there's so many more conversations that I can have. I find him, very, very, very calm, very composed, very assured in what he's doing, which is, mature beyond his years. Certainly doing an absolutely brilliant job with Vicky Mboko, which, in terms of, the conversations, we touched on lots of different areas, the what makes a good coach, conversation, always very interesting. The French tennis, that I found that fascinating as well, getting that insight into French tennis that has been so successful for so many years. And then going to be a multiple Grand Slam champion. I think it's a big statement, but he's right. He's right in what he's saying. He's right in what the feeling is on the tour. The Vicky Mboko train is well and truly on its way. She's someone that has not only the game in abundance, but she has the character in abundance as well. And he's doing a brilliant job leading that train on its charge right now. And whatever happens in Max's career, we didn't get to that because I overstepped our timing of what's next. I have no doubts that he's going to have a very successful career on the tour as a coach. It just feels to me that he's made to be a coach. He's someone that you'd want in your corner, right? In every way that he speaks. And if there's anyone else that you guys want, we've got the potential of Paolo Badoza's coach coming on over the next couple of weeks with Max saying that. But who do you want to hear from? What do you want to hear about? Are we asking the right questions? Are we digging into the areas of interest for you? I know I love having these conversations. I've got a lot of curiosity, but what is it that you guys want to hear? And what do you want from Control the Controllables as well? I thank you all for your support as ever. We will be continuing to try and get more episodes out over the next few weeks. I myself will be on the road a little bit more over the next few weeks. Madrid, Rome and French Open, the clay court season for me. In between my time, I'll be at Control Tennis Academy as well. So come out and see us there as well. And then we'll have the green grass before you know it, and hopefully see some of you in the UK at Queen's, at Wimbledon, And wherever else you are in the world, please do. I love it when you come up and say hello. I had somebody who came up and spoke to me in Tokyo at the end of last year, a couple of people that were listening to the podcast, and that really makes my day as well. So please reach out. Please get in touch with us. Please do come and say hello wherever you see us in the world. But until next time, my name's Dan Kiernan, and we are Control the Controllables.